I didn't move to Denver for a fresh start. I moved because staying where I was meant bleeding in the same room over and over again. After the miscarriage and the breakup that followed, every corner of my old life felt haunted. The apartment, the coffee shop 2 blocks down, even the parking lot where we had our last fight. So I packed fast. 2 duffel bags, 1 suitcase, and my drafting portfolio. That was all I took when I left Austin behind. No plan, just a lease I signed online for a 550 SQ FT loft in a building called Willow Creek. Apartment 3C was small but clean. Wide windows, new floors, and enough space to breathe. My only neighbor who mattered was Mrs. Dobbins, a retired librarian in 3D. She left muffins outside my door twice a week, always with a little note. Oatmeal is good for the soul. It was mid-March when he moved in, 3B Colin. He looked normal, the kind of guy who probably played baseball in college. Friendly enough, quiet enough, nothing strange. Nothing that screamed danger. But danger doesn't scream. It whispers. The first signs, it started small. A package of mine arrived already opened. My doormat was slightly twisted, like someone had been standing on it. The lights in the hallway flickered at night, followed by a faint humming sound. The next morning I saw Colin outside, watering a tiny succulent. He was humming that exact same tune. "Lights flickered last night," he said casually. "Did yours?" Something in the way he looked at me, too long, too steady, made my stomach turn. That night, Mrs. Dobbins knocked on my door for the first time. Her hands shook as she held out a lemon bar wrapped in wax paper. "Be careful with the man in 3B, she whispered. "He reminds me of someone I knew, and not in a good way." The escalation's strange texts started leaving my phone. Messages I never typed. One to my ex, one to an old classmate. Cryptic, creepy. I installed an indoor cam. At first, nothing. Then one Sunday afternoon, I saw Colin on the footage, walking past my door 9 separate times. Each time he leaned close to my peephole. Why? Soon after, I found a small wooden figurine outside my door. A faceless woman with a necklace carved into her chest, the same shape as mine. I threw it away. The next week, another one appeared, this one cracked down the middle. That's when I started sleeping with the lights on. The breaking point by July, my Wi-Fi network had been renamed. BI's, my blood froze when I saw his device listed under connected users. Colin Match. I called a friend in cybersecurity. He installed hidden motion sensors and a disguised indoor cam. 2 nights later at 3:12 a.m., the sensor went off. When I played the footage, my body went numb. Colin was inside my apartment. He didn't break in. He didn't steal. He just stood there, behind the couch, staring at the hallway, waiting like he knew I'd come back. He stayed for 4 whole minutes, silent, still, watching. Then he left. No sound. No lock broken. Just gone. The exit by 8 a.m. The next morning, I was packed and gone. I drove straight to Boulder to my sister's house and called the police. I showed them everything. The texts, the figurines, the videos. The officer just nodded, slowly, and said, "We've had other reports about him. That was 3 weeks ago, and last night, I got a new text from an unknown number. It read, 'I liked the lights better when they were off. I didn't move to Denver for a fresh start. I moved because staying meant bleeding in the same room over and over again. After the miscarriage and the breakup, my old life was poison. So I left Austin with nothing but 2 bags, a suitcase, and a drafting portfolio. Willow Creek Apartments, a quiet Denver building where people nod politely, then disappear behind their doors. Exactly what I wanted. Apartment 3C was small but clean. My only neighbor who mattered was Mrs. Dobbins in 3D, a retired librarian who left muffins outside my door with notes like, "Oatmeal is good for the soul." Then came Colin, B, normal looking, athletic, early 30s, quiet enough to feel safe. But danger never arrives loud. It arrives humming, and Colin hummed. First signs. My package arrived pre-opened. My doormat was twisted like someone stood on it. Hallway lights flickered while a low humming echoed outside. The next morning, Colin watered a succulent outside his door, humming the same tune. Mrs. Dobbins knocked that night, pale and trembling. "Be careful with 3B, she whispered. "He reminds me of someone I knew. Not in a good way." The figurines texts I never sent left my phone. Cryptic, unnerving. I installed a camera. One Sunday, the footage showed Colin walking past my door 9 times. Each time, he leaned close to the peephole. Soon after, I found a figurine outside my door, a faceless wooden woman wearing my necklace. I threw it away. Another appeared a week later, cracked down the middle. I stopped sleeping in the dark. The breaking point, July. My Wi-Fi network renamed itself 3B Eyes. Colin's device was connected. I had a cybersecurity friend hide sensors and cameras. At 3:12 a.m., the sensor triggered, footage loaded. Colin was inside my apartment. No break-in, no panic, just standing behind, my couch, staring at the hallway, waiting. He stayed 4 minutes, then silently left. The box. The police didn't care. No forced entry. Change your locks. I broke the lease and moved to Boulder. But months later, a box arrived at my sister's house. No return label. Inside was another figurine. This one headless. The severed head was wrapped in tissue paper. Around the neck, tied in thread, was my own hair. Colin was gone. No forwarding address, no trace. It's been 4 years. I live in Oregon now. I see a therapist weekly. I check the locks twice each night, and sometimes, when the pine tree's outside, catch the light just right. I see a figure at the tree line, watching. The man below. Me after my father died, I moved to Missoula. Grief doesn't feel like sadness. It feels like fog. You walk, talk, eat, but you're not really there. My apartment was small, beige, forgettable. Except for Jonas. Unit 204. I met him my first day while carrying boxes. "Need a hand?" he asked from the stairwell. I said no. He smiled. "That's fine. I'm always listening anyway." Odd. But grief makes you forgive odd. The scratching at 3:12 a.m., I woke to scratching under the floorboards. Slow, deliberate. Drags. Not pipes, not rats. Too controlled. It returned every night at 3:12, always the same rhythm. Scrape, pause, scrape. One night, I pressed my ear to the carpet and heard it, a breath, human, directly beneath me. The note. Then came the piano. Beautiful, haunting chords drifting up from below. The next morning, I saw Jonas at the mailbox. "You play?" I asked. He smiled faintly. "Only when someone listens." Week later, a folded note slid under my door. "You walk too quietly. I almost missed you tonight. Don't worry, I never sleep either." No name, just the faint smell of Jonas's cologne. That was the night I pushed a chair against my bedroom door. Their response was vague. "We'll check in with Unit 204. Nothing more. The next few nights, I barely slept. I locked the bedroom door, shoved a chair against it, and kept every light on until dawn. Pride, fear, stubbornness. I told myself I wouldn't run again. Then the power went out. It was mid-January. A storm rolled through Missoula, dropping heavy snow and knocking out the grid around 2 a.m. The apartment plunged into darkness. I lit 3 candles and curled up on the couch with my phone, watching the battery die by the minute. At 3:12 a.m., it came. Not a knock on the door. A knock on the floor. 3 slow taps. I froze. Then came the whisper, muffled but clear, rising from beneath the floorboards. "I know you're still awake." My body locked. My hands shook so badly I could barely dial the building supervisor. 30 minutes later, he arrived. We knocked on Jonas's door. No answer. I begged him to open it. He hesitated, muttered about protocol until he saw my eyes. Then he used his master key. Unit 204 was wrong. Not dirty, not cluttered, just wrong. Sterile. Empty. A twin bed. A single wooden chair. No piano, no personal items. But the walls. They were covered in photographs of me, some taken outside, some from the hallway, and one from inside my apartment. The police were called. They found a crawl space beneath my bedroom floor, just large enough for someone to lie in, a foam mat, empty food wrappers, audio equipment, the kind used in neonatal wards to monitor heartbeats. It connected directly to a vent under my bed. Jonas was gone. No forwarding address, no bank activity. His phone disconnected like he'd never existed at all. That night, they moved me out. The city offered a trauma counselor. I said yes. I had no choice. It's been years, but I still check under the bed every night. I still lock the door twice. And sometimes, when the wind shifts through the pines, I swear I hear scratching right at 3:12.